Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of News in Motion. But it's the first of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. We in February, y'all. We are in February. It's also Black History Month. So, to all of our African American viewers, to all of the Black people, happy Black Happy Black History Month to us. Happy Black History Month. Even though Black History is every month, every single day of the year, 365 days of the year, 24/7. This month is specially designed to honor those who came before us, the pioneers, the patriarchs, the civic leaders, all of those who came before us to pave a way for us to make history of our own. But today is February 1st, 2024, and it's also Town Hall Thursday. Yeah, y'all know the segment. Y'all know what we do over here. It's also our Thursday, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun, but we're also gonna have our headline news and our Town Hall Thursday. Whether you are tuning in through Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or any of our audio and podcast services, we just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you are joining us here live, but if you are catching the replay, thank you for tuning in. Whether it be in the nighttime, the afternoon, or in the evening, we just want to say thank you for your love and support. Good morning to you, Miss Adrian, tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Kim Edmondson, tuning in through YouTube as well. Good morning, Miss Jackie, tuning in through YouTube as well. And Miss Kim Edmondson has left a comment saying she's ready for Town Hall Thursday. So if you're ready for Town Hall Thursday, grab your pen, grab your paper, invite some of your friends, let them know that you're tuning in to News in Motion, and we'll be right back after this brief intro.
News in motion.
Y'all, they are jamming in the green room, okay? They are jamming in the green room. Good morning, everybody. This is Gail Dudley. I am your host of News in Motion. I am excited about today's town hall. We're actually continuing a conversation we started yesterday that was an interview, and now we're turning it into a town hall today. You know the rules of the town hall meeting. The moment you stop chatting in the chat box, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, audio podcast people, y'all just keep paying attention to the road. The moment the conversation stops, the segment is over. But before we even get there, a couple of things. Again, this is Town Hall Thursday. Hello, February. Hello, Black History Month. Although I am Black 365 days of the year, I am Black every day. But if y'all want to make it official for a certain month, all right, shout out to all of you. Something I want to ask all of you to do. I do this every December, and I had fun doing it. I didn't post as much because I was sick all December, but every day I watched Black Christmas movies. Now you have to search for them. You have to pay for them. I was sharing with someone. I said, everywhere there's a Black movie I want to watch, I have to either stream it or buy it or whatever. And so I got real creative with it. So I was finding all these trials. I was like, okay, and I was putting in my calendar, make sure you get out of this trial period before they charge you. But this month, I'm asking all of you to watch Black movies, Black documentaries, Black movies, Black series, whatever. And then the last Thursday of this month, we're going to have a town hall around some of the best ones. So we're going to do that. So, just something fun. I see you, Pastor Alex and Deborah Johnson. I see you, Stephanie Burbridge Hall. Hopefully you're feeling better. Latrice Jones is in the chat, but she's also in the green room. Shardinia, good morning to you. Yes, free. You talking about free form? That link, that one as well. Yeah, Black everything. So it is Black History Month. All right, y'all, let's get started. I don't know who's all on here, but Kim Edmondson's on here, and I blame her for this, okay? But although I'm very empowered by all of it. What's up, Rosanna? Y'all, let's start with the U.S. stock market. It did some crazy stuff yesterday. Yeah, the U.S. stock markets closed lower. S&P 500 it was minus 1.6%. The Dow was down 0.8%, and Nasdaq was down 2.2%. They were all down as feds held the interest rate steady, and Wall Street didn't like it. I know I'm talking language that I didn't know 2 years ago, but I'm all into it today. Yeah, that whole thing with indicating of the rate cuts coming but not coming, and they're confident but not confident. It was just a beast yesterday. So it went from, here's my language, it went from a bullish market to a bearish market, which means bullish is when you put calls when you're doing stock option trading. Those are options. And then a bearish is when the stock is falling, and those are called puts. Y'all got all into it. I blame Kim Edmondson. But listen, all of us need to learn this stuff, okay? I was watching the news. I was like, man, if he doesn't come out, if Powell doesn't come out and cut any of these things, it's going to go red. And immediately everything went from green to red. So this was earnings week, and they call this the biggest week of the year. So you had SoFi on Monday, you had a Whirlpool, you had Philips, you had Alliance. Then on Tuesday, you had Pfizer, UPS, JetBlue, you had Starbucks, Alphabet, that's Google, you have AMD. Y'all, AMD was riding the charts, okay? AMD came crashing back down the other way. You had yesterday, you had Boeing, and it was interesting because Boeing was the only one that stayed green. And then I started thinking, oh, Boeing's connected to the government, so okay, yeah, I see how y'all playing this market. You had a line, you had MasterCard. Y'all, MasterCard was jamming, and right before 12 noon, they knew Powell and Company was coming out at 2 Eastern. They went the other direction. So you could follow it. QQuam, you had Whirlpool. Y'all, I'm all into this, right? And then today's earnings, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Peloton, y'all, all of them are coming out. So this was supposed to be a big week with tech, but tech went the other way. Yeah, there's a lot to connect with this. Listen, Kim Edmondson, I can't thank you enough for getting me involved with this. But listen, I see you, Lori Wallace. But listen, y'all, I see you, Shirley. But listen, y'all, this stock market, the FOMC, look that up and tell me what that is next week. That is connected to legislation like crazy. I was seeing it pop off, and I said, wow, all of this is connected to money. Follow the money. You'll get all your answers. Then we have tomorrow ExxonMobil, Cigna, Charter, and others. So y'all, we're going to do something like a town hall around this. I'm going to get some people to come in and talk about this as well. Listen, I don't know why I hung out with Kim Edmondson, but it actually turned out to be a great thing, and I love her dearly. So there's that. That's what's happening in the market. Pastor Alex said Tubi gets some free Black movies. Thank you for that. And Jackie said, yes, I found several Black Christmas movies and plan to watch more for this month. What's up, Felicia? Good to see you. All right, y'all, social media in Congress. Whoa. Can y'all say wow with that? Listen, CEOs of Meta, TikTok, X, Snap, Discord testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on child exploitation. Whoa, listen. AP News is reporting. Before I get to that, I see you, Deborah. Alex said, remain calm. Now may be the time to buy. You are absolutely correct. And thank you. That was in my notes. I totally forgot to say it. Y'all watch those numbers. Y'all, listen. Side note. And by the way, let me give you a disclaimer. I am nowhere near a financial consultant or anything like that. And I can't tell you anything to do with your money or how to move it, use it, whatever. But listen to this. If you're looking, you need to find a high interest savings account. Okay? There's some great ones out there. American Express is one of them. Find a high interest. There's some Capital Ones that are out there. Find a high yield savings account, okay? Interest savings account. Take the money and move it to investments and options. And each week, as you are gaining income, move it back to the interest savings account. But now's the time to buy. So if you're saving it, if you're doing a weekly deposit, and I'm trying to get somebody on here now that I'm a part of her group, a weekly deposit, you have that in there. You're just moving it back and forth. All your gains, you're just moving it back and forth. Y'all, I think Kim Edmondson turned me into a financial guru. But anyway, that's what you do. So what Pastor Alex is saying over here in the Facebook chat, buy when it's low. Come on, y'all. We got to get smart about this. Buy when it's low. All right, y'all, back to social media. CEOs of Meta, TikTok, X, Snap, and Discord testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Child Exploitation. This is coming directly from AP News reporting, because nobody can make it sound better than what these writers did. They said they called them sexual predators, addictive features, suicide and eating disorders, unrealistic beauty standards, bullying. These are all just some of the issues that the young people are dealing with on social media. Again, this is coming straight from AP News. And children's advocates and lawmakers say companies are not doing enough to protect them. So, y'all, it went wild. Now, this is the first time in a long time that I can say this. Legislators on both sides of the aisle weren't they had all point bullet press on these people, and I loved it. And I don't know if Dr. Internet's on here yet or not, but listen, I did not want to side with Josh Hawley. Oh my God, I didn't. But he was on it. He pressed Mark Zuckerberg. He pressed him to where Mark was fumbling with his words, and he had to finally stand up and apologize to the family sitting behind him. I said, well, go ahead, Josh Hawley, do what you do. But then you had Josh Hawley also act real ignorant when it came to the guy with TikTok. The guy kept saying, I don't know, I'm from Singapore. We're like, what are you talking about? And he kept repeating himself. I was like, Josh, you were doing good with Mark. Go back to Mark, because you're not going to do good right here. Then they had to talk to the TikTok people and the X people. And of course, Elon Musk didn't show up. He sent some representatives. But y'all, that was a powerful thing. If you can catch it on C-SPAN or on YouTube, you want to check it out. Y'all, the hearing started out with recordings from testimonies from children and their families. Now, listen, I know sometimes I'm scrolling social media saying, man, people are buck wild and bullying today. So if it's happening with us as adults, we know it's happening with the children. Children are committing suicide. Children aren't eating. Children are terrified. Children are being bullied, all from social media. I see you, Dr. Antoine. I was just talking about you, girl. So you're going to have to go back and listen to the replay. All on social media. So if it's happening to adults, you all know it's happening to children. So with that, we want to bring in Latrice Jones once again. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to start right there with social media and bullying. What's up, girlfriend? You on mute. There she is. She's like, wait a minute, what's happening?
I'm not going to even talk about it. You know, I've been over here. I got the fan going, and so this is water, everyone. But it's been a little warm. And
so talk to us. I know we got into student and absenteeism yesterday, and when I was watching some of this on C-SPAN yesterday, and just looking at all the alerts I was receiving as a journalist, I said, I wonder how much of this is tied into students' absence, because they're like, I'm not going to school. I'm not going to get bullied today. I'm not going to school. I'm not going to be sexually harassed from a teacher or administrator or staff person today. Could that be a direct link and we're not talking about it because there's fear behind that? Give us your thoughts, Latrice Jones. And by the way, happy Black History Month to you.
Thank you. Same to you. Happy Blackity Black History Month.
We Black 365 days out of the year, but go ahead.
So I think that's definitely a thing. I know that, well, I won't say I know, in my opinion, I believe that a strategy or a remedy that some districts or schools have come up with is the online school. So, you know, a lot of districts have developed their own online school within their district. And then there are independent schools online schools that offer, are available throughout the state for whomever. So I definitely believe that social media has played a role in attendance for students. Bullying is a real thing, and even cyberbullying. So, even if you're online, it spills over into that, because we have to ban phones in schools, because stuff happens out of school over the weekend, and then the videos get posted, and then it comes to school, and oh, did you see the video and stuff? So that it's definitely a real thing.
It's crazy because this is what happened. I love this quote. I got to be honest. Mark Zuckerberg, after he stumbled, didn't know what to say, he stood up and this was his quote. He said, "I'm sorry for everything you have been through. No one should go through the things that your family have suffered." He said, adding that Meta continues to invest and work on industry efforts to protect children. Now, that was great. I wanted him to go a step further to say, "I apologize for not having policies or standards in place." I think that would have taken him to another spot if he would have been forthright with that. Marion is saying, "I believe there is a link between social media bullying and students' absences." So there is something that's happening there, and they got to get the likes. They're trying to get the influencers dollars. They're trying to do all of these things, and I think for me, and I want y'all to come start talking to us in the town hall, in the chat. I think for me, we need to go back to what we were saying yesterday. We need to dig deeper. What's at the root of this? So let me go here as you respond to this. I'm going to move now to the more of the school board meetings and the importance for parents to attend. We talked about yesterday, but what about decisions being made at school board meetings, and how they can impact the students, parents, and communities? I know we started on that yesterday, but I want to add in this piece of social media. Like, what can the school board and the community and the parents and the students, how can they create unity to deal with some of this social media, cyberbullying, sexual exploitation, child exploitation, all of that in one? I know I just asked a loaded question.
You always ask loaded questions, and I'm supposed to come up with the answer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're asking the questions. I'm always like, ask the questions, Gail Dudley. One thing that I honestly, as you were talking, I think that we, as adults, do not give enough credit and weight to the voice of the students. We need to start bringing in some of these students, not necessarily. I would even venture to say, if you have a student, because you can identify the ones that are out here wilding out, that are a little bit of a challenge, I would see what's going on in the life of that young person. See if you can get them to open up as to why they're doing some of the things that they're doing, and then have someone on the other side, and a couple of them, maybe have a youth or a student council. Oh my God, did I say student council? Go back to that. Some schools have them, they call them something a little bit different, but have that at the level where they're of the board. Have a student voice on the board to let the board know what it is that the students are dealing with. Because it's a trickle down, right? The board works with the superintendent. They have their agenda. They deal with the things for the entire district, the business of the district. But how does that get down to me, the student who's in a classroom with somebody talking about my mama or threatening to beat me up? What's the connection?
Okay, so, and I see Kim Evans, and we're going to answer that question as well. So leave that one up there, Isaiah. But in addition to that, you just said something. Is it, and we've talked about this a little bit on News in Motion previously, is it that everybody gets a trophy today? So we can't have social media, we can't have student council because there's only one president, only one vice president, only one secretary, only one treasurer, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't do this because that's going to create a problem and people are going to be mad if they lose." Is that a part of the reason why those things are taken out of the schools? Because everybody wins a trophy today, which I think is kind of crazy, but
I don't think to that point, I definitely believe that everybody gets a trophy thing is a challenge. Everybody, and somebody's probably going to inbox me. Bring it on. We shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, might as well join me. I get them all the
Right, I know you get them. It's my turn now. Kindergarten graduations and eighth grade graduation, and like it's a graduation from high school and graduation from college. Everything else in there, y'all have your own private parties at home. We don't need to have those ceremonies at school. I'm sorry, because it's doing just what you're doing. Everybody gets a trophy, and it's setting up this false narrative for our kids. I think it's more traumatizing and detrimental than it is beneficial. That's just my own personal opinion. See you in the messenger. But then
This is Town Hall Thursday.
It's Town Hall Thursday, y'all. But so let's go to Kim's question.
All right, let's go to Kim's question. But before you go there, I think that's a great dialogue to have, because you said something. I personally know of a family whose child could not graduate from kindergarten, and it has traumatized him over the last 15 years. Okay, so there's something to that.
Because students are retained from kindergarten. Let's just be honest. Everybody does not pass. If you're not ready to go, and most schools are not in the business of retaining kids. They want them to matriculate. But if you have not attained the skills and knowledge that you need to be successful in the next grade, why would we as the educators pass you on and set you up for failure? Now, on the other hand, parents, don't be in the school, I need you to pass my kid on. No, you're not helping them. So to your point, it is very detrimental when you see all of your friends up here with their little cap and gowns, and why can't I do that? That's why I did it.
Right. And that's a part of this school board meeting that we can discuss. Okay, so Kim's question, how can we get phones out of the classrooms?
People are so entitled with these phones these days. There are little ones. I mean, first grade, somebody in the background over here talking about preach, with little first grade with phones. If the community was more involved with saying this should not be a thing, I think that school boards are afraid of backlash. Maybe not all, but a lot of them are. So they need folks to come alongside and say, we're going back, y'all. We agree with this. We should not have them. But the entitlement behind these phones and being able to have them, you would not believe the parents that say, oh, so the teacher took the phone. Oh, I'm coming up there. What are you coming for? I don't understand. This is why I'm not in the classroom. But
that's why you in the staff administrative wing. But go ahead.
What are you coming up here for? Because we're not this. And then you understand why the children, because they mimic what they see. If they see that you're all riled up and upset about a device, then I can be disrespectful. So they definitely need to come out. We need to change the mindset behind them, because kids are not on there. If you're on your phone working, because they can be useful. If you're on your phone participating in class, there are a lot of apps that you can use, educational ones. I'm all for it. But if you're on there TikToking and
there should be a level, and maybe some engineer can come up with this, that will lock everything else off except for the apps when you're in classroom. I like what Pastor Alex said, and he got his hands up on that. No child left behind. That's why we're allowing them to go to the next level. But if they go to school board meetings and these types of things are addressed there and parents actually attend them, maybe it'll make a difference. So Lori says parents in the community, I know I can't read. See.
They need to not take, but make the time to get involved. Too many people are in a rush with life, and they need to be open to really listening to children, not just when there's a problem. They need to see consistency. Amen to that. Not just when there's a problem. So we need to show up consistently on the front end.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot more weight when you are at a school, at a meeting, proactively, when your child is doing great things, versus reactively when they have to call you to come in. Yeah. A lot of teachers, and y'all know who the parents are, but Isaiah and Isaac, well, not Isaiah, he's probably like, what? Our children had challenges maybe once or twice because they knew that we popped up anytime, not just when they called. I could be in the vicinity and just show up. and I may not go to the classroom, but if I call you to the office and you don't look right, because I can tell my child, okay,
Yeah.
go to the parking
Yeah.
lot and have a conversation, and then you're gonna have a really good day the rest of the day.
Right. Right. Well, you and I, after the segment yesterday, and I want you all, come on, audience, weigh in on this. We were talking yesterday how rules have been changed where we just can't pop in anymore. And I understand there's a safety issue, but at the same time, once we set that appointment, there's a different connection with that teacher or administrator because they're now prepared for you. And so
Mhm.
of course everything's going to look rosy and every I is going to be dotted and every T crossed.
Yes.
So how do we even navigate that? Because my next question, are there specific topics or issues discussed at board meetings that directly affect student education and experience? And I think some of these conversations can feed into that, but go ahead and speak to that. And then Deborah says, why not lock them in their lockers or use concert phone pouches?
I like what she's saying. I saw that. I like that question because some families have these where at the dinner table you can't have your phone, so they put them in a basket or something. So maybe the compromise is if they're going to bring their phones to school, which we know that they are, everybody have something like a pouch or a basket or something. When you come into the classroom, your phone needs to go in here. That way, I'm not taking it. You see it, but then you have the challenge of somebody might walk off with their friend's phone because everybody may not be as honest. But I digress on that. So, what is talked about at the school board meetings that affects the students? That was what you were saying. Well, schools are businesses. Unfortunately, we have to look at them that way. The product is the students, right? So the business of the schools are what discussed. What kind of curriculum is being brought in? Who's bringing in the curriculum? Who are the vendors that they're using to bring in this curriculums? The facilities that the district might own. What are we doing with these buildings? Are we improving the buildings? Are we building more buildings? Hiring in not hiring and firing, but the folks that have been hired, they get voted on. A lot of it is it's a little bit boring because again, there's an agenda, there's things that are already planned out to discuss. You're just going over that at that time, making sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and voting on it. It's getting on the agenda. So I think we probably should turn it around and say, what do we as a community want on the agenda? What's important to us?
Okay.
And then how do we bring those things to the board to get action on them in the classrooms? So
Okay.
if my student's not learning, if I don't think my student is learning, I want to go look at the curriculum. And then, okay, you guys are using the curriculum from California. Maybe that's relevant for them, but it's not Midwest relevant. So I need to get some curriculum how do we get that curriculum that's more relevant for us
I like
in
that.
classrooms?
I
Work
like
together.
I like that. Lori says, if you are involved consistently and build the relationships, the teacher or administrator will call you when they even have potential. That's good. Dr. Antoinette says, when my daughter was in high school, we made sure she had a phone because she was in after school activities and I needed to know if they were running behind, ahead, or at the door to meet her. It's not the phone, it's what standard the parent set. And I'll even go, because even when you were talking, to piggyback off of her before I turn it over to you, I'll even say people today with all the shootings, they want their child to have that phone so they can pick it up. So I know that's challenging, but feed off of Dr. Antoinette or respond to that.
It's definitely the standard that's set because Isaac has a phone. Now Isaac leaves his phone he leaves his phone here. He doesn't take it to school. One, because I don't want somebody thinking that they can take it and then I have to shut everything down. But two, it's the standard. You're there to learn, you don't necessarily need it. But there have been times that I have wanted him, and we've allowed him to take it a couple of times just for that very reason. He was going to be off campus. We want to make sure, if they were running late, he could let us know. But to bring up the thing about the shootings and emergencies, it's not really helpful when the students have a device and they're calling the parent because there's a whole protocol a safety protocol that the buildings have to operate by. And I totally understand that you want to know, you want to get in there. I'm going to, you want to run and save your child but they're not going to let you in, And so if your child is calling you and giving you play by play information of what is happening and you're all upset and getting upset, it's just not helpful to have them in those situations. And so I think most people that are in charge, teachers, whomever, are probably going to tell those kids that are involved in something like that, put your phones down, don't text your parents, nobody's listening. But they're doing that. And it just elevates and exasperates all of the feelings and emotions that are going on at the time in those situations. Not in the ones where, you're checking on them if they're in an after school event or something like that. So it's almost like a car for kids. It's the responsibility of it. You got to make sure that not only you got those standards that Dr. Antoinette talked about, but you got to make sure that the kids are ready to have them. Some of these kids ain't mature enough to have phones, and we're steady giving them to them, but I'm going to sit.
You said you're going to sit. Look at next to Pastor. I elevate you to Pastor Alex Williams. And I like that. I'm going to get that end piece there when he talks about family structures and the school system issues are just an example of another symptom of much deeper issue.
I agree.
And he said, this may not be popular, but
it is definitely a breakdown of the family structure. It's definitely a breakdown of the family structure and what's going on in school, because you don't have a lot of the families may not have an authority figure that they respect at home. So then you go into a classroom or a school building and you're expected to respect the authority there, and they don't, which causes problems. And so if you're being you can do a data, most schools you can do a data request just to find out anything. I would be interested for you to find out how many students have a disciplinary action against them for insubordination.
Okay.
Just find out how many kids from pre-K to 12th grade in a month, you ain't even got to do a whole year, have disciplinary actions, detention, sent to the office, conference, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Insubordination.
Okay.
Find that out.
Okay.
You're going to be like, wow.
All right, we need to check into that. Kim Edmondson's asking about cameras in the classroom. I'm sure that's a privacy issue.
That not just for the kids, but a lot of the teachers, with these teachers union contract, the teachers union contract is strong, y'all. It's strong. They're not going for that.
See, that happens. Then we have,
but it's not happening.
Then we have Heather saying, my son
or I pray.
I got it.
Okay, when he heads off to school, we worry about his safety at school, but we have faith in God. I don't think a 7-year-old needs to have a phone alone. Yes. And Gail is a believer. I'm a believer, so we can say this. I wish we could have prayer back in school. I wish we could have prayer back in school. But, if we have prayer in school, you have to recognize everybody's prayers aren't the same. So if they're going to allow me to pray, then I can't be upset if they have my brother who is a brother or sister who's Muslim that wants to have everybody got to be able to pray. So that's where well, never mind, I'm okay. But there's nothing stopping you from walking around the building and touching and saying a prayer when you walk by somebody.
Yeah, I see it. Before I get to Dr. Antoinette, Heather is saying privacy in a public classroom. Yeah. I know it sounds real crazy, but yeah. But it also comes back to voting. We vote school board members in. So we got to, again, y'all, local voting is just as important as other voting. Dr. Antoinette also says at the first back to school night, we met all her teachers, gave her contact information, told them call, text, email, yada, yada, yada. Okay, yep, And she said, I received a call.
So Probably because I'm gonna just put this out here. More than likely, your child, you were one of those people, just like Gail said, when you show up, they know that you know have all of your ducks in a row. You mean business. Your child was probably not an issue. Was probably not disruptive in class. You don't get a call. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. The good kids, unfortunately, don't get the calls. Now they'll get the honor roll assemblies and that type of praise but that's what they've earned.
Yeah.
But the good kids don't get the calls, and it's very unfortunate. I think that we do a disservice when we don't reach out to parents and say, I'm not calling I just want to call and tell you that you're doing a great job. It's kind of one of those things where, like, do you get praise for doing what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, we don't applaud the fish for swimming, but
yeah. So let me turn in the few moments we have remain. Let me turn to PTAs and PTOs. I don't hear much about those anymore. Are they just not in play? People don't have a value on them anymore. Like, what's really happening? Because when we had PTAs and PTOs, those parents were somewhat the mouthpiece to inform people, hey, y'all, come to the school board meetings because this is what's happening, or this is what's happening in our particular school or our district or whatnot. What is happening? Have they fizzled out? Can you speak to those, please? Because I think there's a good connection with PTA, PTO, and the school board.
I think that there is. So there was a magazine called, I do think that they still exist. I think that they have probably, I think they're called PTO. The last I checked, they were called PTOs, Parent Teacher Organizations. And so, and they had a magazine. They weren't as popular as they were back in the day because everybody attended them. Moms were home, so they had. So things have changed. Now the thing is that there is a role of a person. Sometimes they're called parent teacher consultants, sometimes they're called family ambassadors, sometimes they're called liaisons, but there is a single person who is responsible for doing the work of the PTO, like what the president and secretary was. So they take the information from the school and they funnel it to the parents. It's supposed to be somebody that the parents can trust, and they act as that go-between. The challenge for me is with that, sometimes those people are vendors, or they're getting paid by the school sometimes. And so to me,
that changes the whole.
It does. I mean, I get what the role is there for, but if you're getting paid by the school or the school district, even if you're not biased towards them, you're not going to be, sometimes you might be afraid to be completely, open and honest and transparent and calling them out on some stuff. So I think that it's a good idea because we haven't been having the same type of participation, but we got to look at a different way, because if this is something that they're doing where they're working and they're spending a lot of time, so a lot of them are bringing great skill sets.
Yeah.
We got to be able to, compensate them, but I don't think it should be done from the schools. So,
wow. Yeah. This has been very good. Again, I can't thank you enough, especially coming back day 2. Lori says, I called every parent at least one time every quarter with a positive or not as positive comment as a teacher.
Yeah. And you can do both. Okay. You can do both. You call and you give every child has something good that you can say about them. Even if it's only, I like the way that they challenge me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you give the other stuff, the not so positive. Now, this is an area that we can work on, or I see this as an area for growth or opportunity that we can work on together.
Before I let you go, I know you have a meeting to get to, and y'all, I'm gonna give y'all some more information, so don't y'all go anywhere. But what would be one thing you would suggest to us, the community, with or without children in school, or with or without children at all, that we can start looking for or pay attention to, or even walk alongside a school, adopt whatever? What's one thing you think right now is needed in this environment?
I definitely think that if you can volunteer at any time, and there might be some rules for that as far as like safety and stuff. If you can volunteer to help alleviate some of the tasks, so going in to maybe like read to a classroom, that will give a teacher some time to do some planning or something. That will get you in. They'll see you as an ally. And then learn all the nuances and workings of that school. So I think that one, if you can volunteer to just do some things around the school, reading, when it gets a little bit warmer, even helping keeping the grounds. If you just show up to give and not necessarily to take initially, I think it's going to help to build that relationship and a lot, get you in to more things.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see Derek Holmes popped on here too. I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you going to say something?
No. You said you saw Derek Holmes. I was just trying to think of something else that maybe everyone could do. It, it doesn't have to be necessarily at the school. If you have folks in your immediate community, like around your home, within two houses on every, two houses down, two houses across, behind, check in with them if they have so just real quick, sometimes if a student lives, I think you have to live more than a mile away from a school in order to get busing. Well, if you live just over a mile, you're not going to get a bus.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only 7 years old or 8 years old, you it may be too far to walk. Maybe your parent has to be at work at a certain time. I can't afford latchkey. Check in with the folks around you in your immediate sphere of influence, your circle of influence, and see if there's anything that you can do to help them. That's building that community, and then take your community to the school. Now you've got a group that you're helping. It doesn't hurt to do these little things. It's great, it's kind. You might get a extra ruby in your crown or something. I don't know. But do those things. I think it's just nice to be nice and
Yeah.
help people out.
No, I love that. I love that. This was a great conversation. And the reason I highlighted Pastor Derek Holmes, excuse me, I saw him pop in, is because if y'all would visit his Facebook page, he's asking questions to help. Y'all, in this election year, we need to be plugged in wherever we can to make sure there's a difference that's being made.
Yes.
So he put a question on there on his Facebook page. I believe it was yesterday. And Derek, if you're still on, if you would just make a comment and let us know what you're looking for, so that we can come alongside you and the work that you're doing as well. That would be great. Latrice, I cannot thank you enough. So thank you for hanging out with me today.
Appreciate you. Love y'all, News in Motion.
All right, y'all. We're gonna keep going here. Before I get to the inspirational message, some people have been asking about being able to have a commercial or a promotion or whatever. If that's you, all you have to do is email us, and you can email me or send me a direct message or whatnot, and I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. So I wanted to make sure you knew that. But yes, there are spaces, especially in this election year. If you have anything you want to share, if you're an artist or author, a business person, whatever it is. Now, yeah, we vet them. Everything will not go on there. We do vet them. I want to give you some information about next week. Don't trip. It's next week only. Next week, we will be only Tuesday and Wednesday. So make sure you tune in. Wednesday is probably going to go about an hour. We're going to go into a workshop on Wednesday that will discuss how to read these bills. Oh, I got a serious presentation for you all. So if you know any classrooms that want to join, have them join. Just come on in here. But that's going to be about an hour. So be ready. You don't have to stay the whole hour, but come in and get what you can. But it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday only, because I got something to do on Thursday. And I want to just keep the town hall meetings going the way that they're going. But that's how we're going to do that. So for the inspirational message today, when you're in those deep dark seasons, I shouldn't say deep dark, but when you're in seasons, I'll just talk about seasons, and you're crying out to God, like, God, do you hear me? God, can you please answer this prayer for me? Just, God, help me. I kind of gave a prayer like that this morning and crying out to God. And I said, God, I'm asking one thing, and I've been asking for it since 2013. And I went back and talked about how I've written it in my journal, how I asked. And I said, God, you specifically asked me, what do you want me to do for you? And I've specifically told you what I wanted. So we're going on 11 years now, and you have not answered that prayer. Why? And then I said to God, I said, okay, God, maybe you're just not going to answer that prayer because I'm getting old now. And that was my response to him. God, I'm getting old now. And I was done with my prayer. I said, I still love you, Jesus. I know you're still with me, but I still don't understand why you won't answer that prayer. Just one prayer I'm asking here over and over and over again. And I put out there about, like age. Soon thereafter, I'm scrolling through Facebook to those who I have alerts from. And I come across Pastor Jamal Bryant. And if he wasn't talking about Sarah and how Sarah stopped praying, and that's all he said. And in my mind, as I'm taking my shower, I said, I'm going to go and read that in Genesis. So I went to Genesis, I think it's 18, 1 through 15. I'm reading it. And I thought, if this isn't a setup from God, even to hear Jamal Bryant's reel, and I thought, okay, I put something out there. This is how God works, y'all. This is how God works. I put something out there. I scrolled, got that, triggered me. Let me go read this for myself. And the Lord says, you're not too old. Because she laughed, right? When he said a year from now, you will have birthed a son. And she laughed because she's overhearing this conversation. Then the Lord says to her, why did you laugh? And she replied, I didn't laugh. He said, but you did. He also checked her, right? And I thought about that. And I want to say this because we have a younger audience, but we also have an older audience, viewership, listenership. And I want to say, if you are thinking, as I did this morning, that we're just getting too old, I believe all of us are about to be surprised. And I believe God is about to use all of us, regardless of our age. And the thing is that I kept hearing this morning when I was talking to God after I read that Genesis passage, God said, okay, just get ready. Get ready. Make sure your health is good. Make sure you have everything in order because I'm about to bless you like you've never been blessed before. And I thought, okay. And I'm sitting there thinking, why does it take 10 years, 11 years for it to be? But that's not the right question. And I think sometimes we also have to be mindful of the questions that we're asking God. Yes, Pastor Alex, he says, amen. Yes, Shirley, that's how he works. It's amazing. Shirley, thank you for your video, your picture of your husband on the treadmill. Put in the chat how old your husband is. I know how old, but I want everybody else to know. And just knowing some of the things you've shared with me and how we've been praying for your husband, to see him on that treadmill this morning after I said what I said, blessed me. Listen, y'all, we keep thinking that we're aging out of things. We keep thinking that we're aging out. I believe, and I'm no prophet or anything, I believe the Lord is saying we're aging in, that there's about to be a reversal of some things. We were focused on all the young people, and they're doing some amazing, great, outstanding, exceptional things. But guess what? We are too. We are too. And don't be discouraged for where you are right now, because the blessings of the Lord are about to just rain down. I don't know when. And those were the things I was saying to God. I said, God, you know, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you. And if you got to go. But I'm going to be completely transparent with all of you on here. What's up, Nikki Burton? Girl, yeah, we got to talk. One thing that God kept showing me as I'm telling you, I had a lamenting moment this morning, okay? I'm loving the freedom that I'm in right now. I'm loving how God is allowing me to just navigate certain things. But listen, I was lamenting this morning, and I was just telling God, and I said, God, I'm on social media. Transparency, y'all, transparency. Y'all know me by now. I'm on social media, God, and I'm like seeing all these prophecies and type amen here. And if you agree, do this. I said, it's so overwhelming. And you're seeing people on social media, being blessed. And I didn't ask you for something for 10 years, and you know my faithfulness. This is where I went with God this morning. You know I'm a tither. You know I'm a giver. You know I'm doing all these things. God, have you forgotten about me? And then I said, God, if you don't do something soon, I'm going to be too old for it. So, let me know now. Seriously, that's how me and Jesus talk. We roll like that. And clearly, I'm done. I'm having, my little worship music a little bit, trying to get my mind back in because I got to come on News in Motion. And I actually thought about not coming on that this morning because I was just in that place. And all of a sudden, the atmosphere began to shift. God wants our honesty, number one, y'all. And I was straight up. He knew I was honest with him. He wants our honesty, number one. Number two, he wants us to be available. So again, he was like, okay, since I know you're about to go scroll to check out what other news alerts that are coming in, I'm going to make sure I'm going to put this one first. And I kind of scrolled past Jamal Bryant. And I was like, what? So I went back. I'm going to tell you why I went back. I didn't go back because of what I was hearing. I went back because of what he was wearing. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I listened. It was like, guys, like, you're looking at the wrong things. Listen to what the man is saying. And when I heard that, I was like, He didn't say what I read in Genesis. It was like, okay, when you're done with your shower, go read Genesis. I opened up Genesis, not my laptop, to go through the rest of the script for today. I opened up Genesis and I read it. And I was going to just read verses 12 and 15, but I read 1 through 15 from when he was lying there and he saw the three men and the conversation, how he went to go get the calf and he went and had his wife make bread and all of those things. And then I also said this. This is how you read the word, y'all. I also said this. Takes a long time to make some bread. So how long were they there? Because if she had to knead the bread and bake the bread and all that stuff and get the flour and the wheat and all those things, that took a while. Timing. See, we keep thinking things are going to be instant. I said, okay, that's timing. Then when he told his servant, go get a calf, prepare it, cook it, and so we can feed the people. Well, he had to go get the calf, slaughter it, clean it up, cut it up, cook it. That took a long time too. So God also allowed me to see it's going to take some time. This is not microwavable because it's not going to be temporary. This is going to be long lasting. Y'all, I hope that's helping you. It helped me this morning. I hope it's helping you. Dr. Antoinette said, right, I was putting a slice of bread in the toaster. Look at that. Look at that. It wasn't putting a slice of bread in the toaster, right? God's timing. Deborah says, God's timeline is vastly different from ours. Kim says, we're aging in. Y'all, Shirley's husband is 90 years old young. He was on the treadmill. Okay? He was on the treadmill. So listen, this is my inspiration for you today. Listen, read God's word, pause, see what's really happening there. It's not microwavable, and it may take some time. But what we can do now is to prepare for what is to come. Lori says, that's a word. Take time to hear God. Thank you. Deborah says, I needed this. Listen, sis, I needed it this morning. You have no idea. Y'all have no idea. I'm this close. And I mean, this close to saying, we shutting down News in Motion. But God keeps saying, I didn't tell you that. I did not tell you to do that. This is a season that News in Motion must continue because of all the shenanigans that are happening out there. And when I flip through and look at the news and see all the alerts and realize that people are not telling y'all what's happening, when it gets to the stock market, y'all, I saw that thing yesterday. I said, we have to be educated on this. And Kim Edmondson, I cannot thank you enough. Y'all, it's all connected. Well, how did Boeing soar yesterday? Seriously, y'all had boats falling off of wings. You had tires in landing gear where Delta had to come back in. You had United. You had all this stuff happening. And they went bullish yesterday? Explain that. Because the government's giving them money. Y'all, you got to start looking at the 2 and 2s. I'm getting ready to get into something else. Listen, y'all. I will see you on Tuesday. I am your host, Gail Dudley. This has been News in Motion. Y'all know what I say. Stay well, everyone. And remember, make some bold moves. We're out.
News in Motion.